Do
All
it.
right, we are here today with Ben Fritz. Man, Ben, thanks so much for being part of our class today.
Hey guys, happy to be here. Looking forward to it.
So you are, well, first of all, you're my son's baseball coach, which is great. So we see you all the time in baseball practice and all that stuff. Thank you for doing that. But secondly, you go out and you find properties that are maybe distressed in some way, and you go put the sweat equity into those properties and then rent them out. Is that kind of what you do?
It's what we've done in the past. Yeah, so kind of started out doing it. It's not our main business as far as the family is concerned, which does make a difference. That does change your strategy of what, at least us as a family have decided to do. But yeah, so I'm kind of like a long-term hold, but I do pretty much have to rehab pretty much any of the stuff that we do find.
So your real estate is kind of a side hustle, because I know I interviewed your wife last year, and her interview
Right.
will be coming up during our fourth quarter, because she operates a Chick-fil-A. So that's your primary source of income. So do you take Chick-fil-A money then and then go and put it in real estate? Is that the strategy?
That's exactly pretty much. That's exactly how I've kind of thought about it. Chick-fil-A was definitely the workhorse. So that's number one priority with the family. But then taking that hard work and all that equity and all that money and putting it into something else that's going to make money in the future. Because definitely with real estate, you can make money pretty quickly on it if you were to flip something. But by and large, it's kind of a get rich slow scheme, and you're always kind of building for the future and years down the road.
Why real estate? Why not go buy an annuity? Why not put all of your earnings into the market? Why not buy REITs?
Great question. Well, you could do some REITs. You get some of the benefits with doing a REIT, but with real estate itself, it's tangible for one. So for myself, obviously since I've kind of grown up in doing restaurants and all that sort of thing, I kind of like to get my hands dirty. So it's more tangible. You can touch it. It's a great inflation hedge. You can
What does that
see
mean?
an inflation hedge. So when prices rise, kind of like what we're seeing right now here over the last 2 years, I guess, so to speak, all the prices of everything has kind of gone up. So the cost of wood, labor's gone up. Just all the supplies that's going to take to build a house have gone kind of through the roof. So when that happens, just the already existing real estate that's out there is going to also go up. That's not even taking into consideration the supply and demand that will just, especially here in Texas, which will, if supply is low and the demand of everyone's still wanting to be in real estate, that's going to push all the prices keep on going higher.
Right.
So since the fact that I have bought into real estate or had pieces of property that I have bought a long time ago, let's say, 7-8 years ago, prices were low.
Yeah.
But since inflation and all the cost of the wood and all the supplies of all the new real estate coming on the market, and maybe some more supply and demand needs, that has pushed those prices keep on going up. So that's a wave, so to speak. If you think about an ocean wave coming in, it kind of goes up. Sometimes it goes down, but real estate, it pretty much just always goes up and maybe goes down a little bit, but then it'll go up again. So you're riding that wave, and that's what they kind of an inflation hedge is.
Does it like for me, my rental properties this last 3 years have gone from 1,500 to 1,900 and even higher. Do you feel bad about it at all with tenants? Like, I mean, the fact that their rents are going up, have you raised their rents dramatically?
Well, in my area where I'm renting, it's it's in Keller for, I guess I would say about 70% of my rentals. I got one in North Richland Hills that's been the same guy that's rented it for him and his family. I've risen his rents over the last 6 years, very minimal. So when you find a good tenant, and it's almost a benefit to try to keep it as low as possible. Now, with that said, this next year I'll probably have to raise it quite a bit, and that's mainly because my property taxes I've kind of kept them pretty low up until this point. But on that particular property, they've gone up 30% this year. So that's, I think a few thousand, I think maybe a $2,000 increase almost, from
Wow.
15, 17, $1,800. So that's a drastic increase. So if I didn't raise his rents probably at least $100 this next year, which is quite a bit for me. I've only raised him like $25 at a time. His lease.
Oh, you're a nice landlord.
I am, for that one particular. When you get a good tenant and you get a long-term tenant, you're gonna spend a lot more money trying to get a new tenant in there. So if you find a good one and you like them and you got a good rapport with them, then it's really to your benefit to try to keep things as cheap as possible. And kind of in my strategy though too, I'm not really going after the cash flow quite yet. I'm kind of building for that future, kind of like what I was saying. So do I feel bad? Not necessarily. A lot of my houses are in kind of affluent areas, and these guys are, and gals, and these families are, they're kind of temporarily here. I've had some military folks that maybe just got stationed here for a few years, and they are looking to move back to their home states after their service is done. So they get stipends and stuff from the government, at least for those particular instances, where they can spend it just directly on their housing costs.
It sounds like you know a lot about your tenants. Why not just go get a property management company, pay them their 8%, and just focus on acquiring properties? Why do the management side yourself?
Well, I feel like it's going to make you a better investor. So, and once again, it kind of goes back to my strategy of just being more hands-on. To get dirty. And I used to be able to, before the kids got, to certain ages, I used to be able to do a lot of the fixing and, doing the toilets and, snaking lines and all that kind of stuff. I used to do a lot of that myself, but you're going to save yourself a lot of money if you do it. Like you said, 8%, that's even on the low side. If you have a lot of properties to give a property manager, you might be able to get it for 8. Otherwise, you're looking at 10%.
Yeah.
To tell you the truth, the profit margins are just really not there. I'd be pretty happy to make $200 a month. That's pretty good for me. Usually I'm right at about $100 a month in profit. Sometimes on some of these that I've had to fix up a lot, I'm probably in the hole on, months and month ways. But equity, like I was saying earlier about, riding the wave up and all the property values going up, I definitely got, some value there of those properties. But as far as just cash flow goes, it's not there. So that's one of the main reasons why I haven't gotten a property manager yet.
And so for us, like a couple of years ago, we decided we had one property that got flipped and it because of an insurance claim, and it got totally mint. So we could put it on the market and get the highest amount for it. We did that, we sold it, we took the profits, and we paid off our other 3 properties to be free and clear. So we have no underlying mortgage in that. Is that a goal for you? Or do you feel like, always leverage and have debt on these properties? And if so, why not sell a couple of them and then just pay off properties?
Yeah, that's great. It's actually come in my mind of doing that. But so historically, if you guys have looked at interest rates over here, I mean, obviously stuff has kind of gone up here this last year in interest rates. But prior to that, all of the interest rates that I got locked in on my properties are extremely low. So I actually did look at that because it is enticing to pay them off. That is ultimately the goal for me. So, I mean, at some point, I'll sell them and I'll take the equity and I'll roll it into something of a more hands-off approach, like a triple net lease, if you guys ever talked about that in the commercial things. Okay, well, that's the ultimate end goal. So a triple net lease is basically just mailbox money. You're going to get a long-term tenant. Let's say a CVS building. CVS is notorious for building their properties and then they'll sell them and they'll lease back basically for let's say 20 years, and they'll have rent escalations every 5 years usually. So you're not percentage wise, especially for like a CVS, you're not making a ton of money, but that's ultimately the end goal. So either I'll pay them off, but that's going to be more, let's say if you keep talking too fast here, but let's say you keep 20 properties, right? You pay them off. That's still, you're going to have to manage 20 properties, or you're going to have to hire a property management firm to take
Right.
care of it. But for us, as far as a family goes, I don't want to have to be doing, property management when we get to be to the age where we want to retire, or just
Right.
not be doing anything else. So ultimately, I'll sell those. I'll take the equity I do have in them, and I'll roll them into something that really doesn't need to be managed very much.
Because there's, and we'll talk, we're going to be talking later this semester about 1031 exchanges and all that to be able to avoid taxes on the equity sale of that property as well. But it's interesting to me because, I mean, we switched over and we did get a property management company before, within us. And I'll tell you what, man, it is, it is amazing. Like I think for a long time I managed tenants and it was fine, but man, like to be able to have just money get put into my account every single month and I don't have to do anything for it. In fact, there was a toilet or something that went out in one of my, it was a microwave went out in one of my properties, and they just called me and said, here's what we need to do, here's the price. I'm like, go for it. Like I'm just totally hands off, which is so nice.
And if you have your properties paid off, I mean, it does make a world of difference. So if you do have debt on them, it does weigh on your soul a little bit, and it does make the cash flow kind of scenario a little bit more challenging. So you're a little bit more picky on
Right.
what you get done and everything. But once again, that's the great thing about real estate. I mean, you can have different models. I mean, you can be in different areas of a city. In the metroplex, you can run the gamut of different places you want to invest. And so you're going to have different strategies, so to speak. So kind of like what I was saying earlier, all my properties are in pretty affluent areas. So my tenants, they're paying good money. They could really technically, they could go and buy them their own house, but they're pretty much just there on a temporary basis. They think they're going to move at some point, or maybe they want to live there for a year and then buy after they get settled. So they really expect the house to be in pretty good shape, up to date. And so I've had to throw thousands of dollars into renovations to basically get those tenants and to keep them happy. And so I'm not looking to be a slumlord.
I just hate debt. Like for me, like hate it. So we paid off our house this last summer. We paid off all of our rental properties. We just wanted to be debt free completely, have no worries of any of this stuff. But some of it, and I think some people want to leverage some of that to some degree. Instead of buying, one or two properties, they want to buy 5 properties. For me, I want to have everything paid off. How do you find, so like I get these emails, for instance, from this guy, Chris Blum. And you get those too. And I think it's maybe because we're on some kind of investor list, but we're getting some, like this is just a vacant lot. Here's another one where it's a house. It's worth 205,000 or best OBO's or best offer. And they're telling us here that this property is probably the approved repaired value is 300,000 or more. They give us the main big 3 repairs here. So it doesn't look like this is going to be too much of a flip. It's a pretty simple property. The third one here, another one were $126,000 for Dallas. I mean, it's pretty good. Like you go in and potentially buy one of these with cash if you have it. Roof needs to be, or roof has been replaced. The HVAC is new, walks level on the foundation. They're saying the property is worth. Did they give me the
don't have it to be determined on that one.
To be determined. So, I mean, $126,000, you buy this property, you turn it into $1,000 a month rental. I don't know. It's a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath. So not a terrible. Is this how you find your properties? Do they just come to your inbox, or do you have
an agent out there
find it for you?
Just in that scenario right there, you got this one right here. And I'm actually going to be closing on this one here. They're waiting, so it's an estate that's selling it, which means someone has passed away. Someone old lived here, and then their family heirs are selling it. So there's 5 family members that are selling it. So they sold it to a wholesaler. So those emails that you're seeing are that's the great thing about real estate. Like I was saying before, there's different ways you can make money, and so these wholesalers are basically calling people, or putting out mailers, and they're trying to find people that are distressed or maybe looking to sell their properties fast. So they're putting them under contract, for a discounted price just for the speed of things. And
So this guy, wait, hold on. So this guy right here, this Chris Blum guy, his picture's not on here, but he was on the previous one. He and by the way, when my mom passed away last February, my brother had people calling him like crazy, asking if they wanted to sell the house. And so he either gets it from some distressed or some, because we don't want to go back to Sherwood, Oregon. Like, I mean, I love Sherwood, Oregon, but my family's here and we all have our own houses and we don't want the house. We have kind of don't want it itis to some degree. We want to get rid of it. And so he goes in and he gets a contract on the house, basically tying it up, saying, I want to buy your house. And then he puts an internet out there saying, you know, this is what you can buy it. So he's like the middleman between the two people. Is that right?
Yep, that's exactly right. So kind of the one I showed you, I'm gonna buy it for, just to get real life numbers, I'm gonna buy it for right at 90,000, then plus some closing costs.
Wow.
They got it under contract for 80, I think. So so basically they negotiated with the family $80,000, and then they're gonna go market it for 90.
Okay.
And so they're gonna do the math, they're gonna make about $10,000 on that.
Right.
And that's just their cut. So if they don't have, let's say,
how big is this house? How many bedrooms? How many baths?
right now it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath.
Where's it located?
It's in Gainesville.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's
How much do you have to put into it to flip it to get it ready to rent out?
so that's, I'm going to be putting in my budget that I've done so far is 60,000. So
You're like the flip this house guy kind of, except you're going to hold it. So okay, so you're gonna buy it for 90.
that's the scenario. So you know, it kind of depends. So there's a method called the Burr method, which is when you buy, rehab, rent, and repeat it, or refinance it and then repeat it. So my ultimate like perfect property, which in real estate you're not gonna always get. You can usually make something work on everything, but on this one particular, you know, if the numbers were to work, I would do that Burr strategy, which I'm not sure, Brian, if you've talked about
No.
that strategy with any of them. Have you heard of that before? Or?
You'll be our very first real estate interview. So they're whole, their minds are being just blown right now as you're talking. So
Well, good deal. Well, yeah. So, you know, for this one, you know, with those wholesale deals that you're finding on the internet, you're going to have to get pretty much cash offers, because they're going to be expecting you to close in about a week or two.
wow. Okay.
So you're not going to have time to run off and get a conventional loan on them. They're not going to wait on that. So they're going to want you to bring cash to the table.
No 30-day closing, huh?
Yeah, no 30 or 45-day close. You could get a hard money loan. Sometimes those are going to be fast enough, but you're going to still have to line that up before you start trying to buy these kind of properties. But
yeah, we have credit line lined up for us as well within our small business. We lined that up a long time ago, and it's for the value of our rental properties. So we really kind of we thought about doing some of that. We just hate debt. So Ben, we're just like, but okay, so you're going to be 150K into this property. How much can you rent it for?
so for this one, you know, since I'm not up in Gainesville, that's kind of the risky part.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to do it. So I do have my real estate license, so I have access to the multiple listing service, the MLS, which gives me all the data for, you know, people that, you know, list their properties either for sale or for rent. So that's a helpful tool. But as best as I can figure it, it's going to be somewhere between 14 to maybe 1,600 a month.
For a 2-bedroom? Wow, that's incredible.
Well, you're getting ahead of yourself. So it is right now, it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. So it's 1,300 square feet. All right. So since I'll be your first real estate interview, 1,300 square feet for a 2-bedroom is a pretty big 2-bedroom house.
You can add a 3rd bedroom. Am I blowing your mind?
Yep. So I'm going to be adding not just a bedroom, but I'll be adding a bathroom as well. So
wow.
it would be, you know, so $60,000 for just like a cosmetic, you know, like carpet and paint. That's a lot of money.
Right.
So for $60,000, I'm going to be getting a whole nother bedroom added. So I'm going to have to add like some walls and some doors. And then I'm also going to be adding a bathroom to one of the other bedrooms that's abnormally large, since it's going to be the master bedroom, master bath.
You know how to do all this?
So if I had to do all the work myself, I could probably do it. So going back on my story a little bit, I did work for, right out of college, I did work for a home builder, Pulte Homes. So I was a superintendent for them. That was kind of my strategy going forward. I've always liked real estate. So if you guys are right in the middle of rich dad, poor dad, from what I hear right now, that's pretty much how, almost one of the main caveats of why I started investing in real estate. That and my best friend's family was heavily in real estate. So I kind of grew up with around them, saw the great benefits of it. Once again, it just fits my personality as far as being like hands-on. And so I've always enjoyed that kind of stuff. So I've done a lot of those fixings. So yes, I could do that, but if I were to do that myself, it'd take me a lot longer. I probably wouldn't do as good a job because I'm just not, I don't do it every day. So I'll hire out most everything.
To be your own contractor, hiring out subcontractors, is that right?
Exactly. So I kind of act as my own GC, general contractor. And so I'll hire out pretty much, professional plumbers or an electrician here. I do kind of have my main handy guy that I am using on this one that can kind of do a little bit of everything. He'll be my boots on the ground because, Gainesville is about an hour away from where I'm at. So I don't want to have to go up there my schedule. So I'll kind of have him kind of managing stuff, but I'll still be checking in and making sure everything's lined up and acting on it that way. So, but when you go and you buy something, so this one's fairly cheap, I'm going to get it for 90,000. It's a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. It's a wholesale deal. So, kind of expect it to be, needing to be fixed up, but 1,300 square feet, I can definitely add another bedroom and a bathroom, and it's actually a pretty good 3-bedroom, 2-bath house size.
1,300 square feet is perfect for a 322. I mean, that's
exactly.
great.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's called force appreciation. So I don't know if that's going to be a term that you're going to cover at all, but
forced appreciation.
So it's a term that you find a lot in commercial real estate, which I do a little bit of commercial real estate as well, but forced appreciation. So you're doing things to the property that are going to be forcing the value up. So by adding a bedroom and a bathroom, you're going to be
you have to go through all the city and all this stuff too, right? I mean, you have to get permits. You can't just go build extra bedrooms, can you?
Yeah, so you definitely will probably need to pull some permits and doing that, but that's one of my strategies, I guess, too. You kind of have to pick your cities wisely. So on that one deal that you have pulled up there right now, I think that we're looking at, that one's in Dallas. So I don't touch Dallas. So
why not?
Well, I just heard on the news that the city council, this is just for instance case, but this is one of the reasons why I just don't do it. Years ago, I've talked or heard on the news that they were, flirting with the idea of doing rent controls. And then just this last week, I heard that Dallas was thinking about outlawing short-term rentals. So as an investor, even if they don't necessarily go through with it, I just know that Dallas has a acceptance of a little bit more government control. And as an investor, that's uncertainty. So so it scares you off. It doesn't, I'm not going to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in something that I know I'm not going to be able to get my return on investment on. So it just ultimately brings up more risk on my part.
And Dallas is a county that normally votes more Democratic, right? So it's like sometimes the regions that are more maybe Democratic are going to be more tenant, like more rewards for tenants, whereas counties sometimes that are maybe more Republican are going to be more investor friendly. Is that fair?
It can be for sure. Yeah, no, I think it does have kind of those tendencies, I suppose. Yeah, so it's just going to give you more freedom. By and large, Texas is still very much, a free state when it comes to being that. But I mean, there is controls on everything. It's not the Wild West where you can just do whatever you want. Right. Me as a property manager, I have to do continuing education. There's laws you got to follow. There's procedures you got to follow. So there's plenty of stuff in line to protect both the tenant and the landlord being the property owner. And so it's not the Wild West, but, so there's a healthy amount of oversight that you do want to see, because you're not in the business to just take tenants to the woodshed or anything. So you don't want to, do that. That's not the way to do business either. But, and on the flip side though, too, you don't want to be able to, let's say, buy a house, and I was going to buy a house in Dallas for a short-term rental. And you're building it out, you're furnishing it, you're spending, $100,000 on everything. And then boom, city council votes, you're not going to be able to do short-term rentals. Well, now what are you going to do? You're already $100,000 into that rehab, and maybe you already spent $250,000 on it.
Right.
Now you're going to have to just take $100,000 bath and try to sell it or try to regain it. It's just that kind of uncertainty is just something I don't want to deal with. So when anything comes up from Dallas, when I see these emails, it's like, Dallas, no, gone.
Good to know.
No.
I mean, that's good to know. That's like a lesson that my students maybe are not gonna have to learn. Let's take a look here real quick at our different slides that we have. I've got about 7, and by the way, the bell's gonna probably ring in a few minutes, but that's okay. I still got a few more minutes. Let's look at these different terms. Maybe give me a minute on like, why is equity important to a real estate investor? Are you there? Did I lose you? Ben? Ben?